Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there, and welcome to New Life Live. Glad you're with us here today. I hope you're having a good Thursday. I am, because I'm on with two professional people, and that is Dr. Alice Benton and Marc Cameron.
Hello. Hi, gentlemen.
Hi.
Your lives are dedicated to working with and helping people, whether they're stuck or they're confused and are deeply, deeply hurt. Mm-hmm. And we want to help you, and you can always get that help by dialing 1-800-NEW-LIFE. So I have a deck, and on that deck I put this darling little wooden thing that had a birdhouse on top of it, and all of a sudden there's this big 2-day rain thing, and the thing falls apart. So I guess it was never meant to be outside. So I brought it inside because I thought, well, I can just hammer this back together and put some paint on it. It'll be great. Mm-hmm. And as I was just kind of thinking about it, looking it over after I'd brought it in, it was inside for a night. I discovered a wasp nest underneath.
Oh, no.
So I brought a nest of wasp inside and then fortunately was able to get rid of that once I drug it outside without being stung. And the reason I'm telling you that story is nobody in their right mind would bring a wasp nest into your home. And yet, here it comes, social media, the pain and the damage done to our kids, worse than any wasp nest could ever do. Alice, you and I, we wrote this book. You did the really great work on it. Understanding and loving your child in a screen-saturated world. When the social media wasps are allowed to roam free in a house, what damage does that do?
Well, let's look at two principles of addiction, because when we see a dependence on a substance and we see withdrawal when separated from that substance, those are signs that a person has entered into the addictive level of use of it. But we are experiencing that with social media and with screens in general, that we as adults and our children are unwilling to come off screen. We can't let go of our screens. And if you get our screen away from us, we might be grumpy, anxious, depressed, and feel that need to get back on and check, what was I missing? FOMO, they call it, the fear of missing out. And so if we experience that both as parents and we see that in our children, that we can't gracefully let go of our screens and separate from them, we're probably already in a level of problematic use. And one way to break that is to start working on ourselves as parents and confessing that we're struggling with it, and start modeling for our children that we parents come off our screens, especially so that we can engage with our children face to face without having a screen in between us. And then we ask the same of them.
Yeah. Well, we need to replace FOMO with faux gums. Fear of getting miserable, or I don't know what it would be. But anyway, we need a better fear than just the fear of missing out. Mark, you have a comment here before we go to the break?
I think what I was going to say is that I would say that I'm going to take a leap here. I think if you have a smartphone and you have games or social media, you've probably got some kind of level of screen addiction, and we break the addiction by fasting, right? Fast from games, fast from websites, fast from media, and that's how you'll know. If you get the cravings, that's how you'll start to know how addictive it is for you.
Okay, that is so true. I want to give you an example of that breaking the addiction concept with fasting. We'll do that right after this. You're listening to New Life Live. Got calls lined up. Really glad that you are. We'll get to your call right after this.
My girlfriends and I have been searching for so long to try to find an event to attend.
Lumina is a new women's conference designed to inspire your faith, so you can lead and live confidently from God's Word.
It was nice to come here and just realign myself with who God says He is in my life.
The Lumina Conference is a 2-day experience. 1 full day of worship and teaching in Museum of the Bible's World Stage Theater, and a half-day guided tour through Museum of the Bible.
You are literally immersed in the Word of God. You can walk through the Old Testament. You can walk through the New Testament.
Lumina is for women of all generations, cultures, and denominations. It's a great place to gather with women from your church and community.
If you want some fellowship and you want to be strengthened, this is the place you want to be.
This year's Lumina Conference is October 27th and 28th in Washington, D.C.
It was absolutely life-changing.
For more information, go to luminawomen.org.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, Steve Arterburn here, and we're going to go to calls right after this. But Mark mentioned, the way you break addiction is fasting. I mean, it helps you. And with Lose It for Life, our weight loss program, I've been recommending people not do without food except for this one reason. And that is sometimes you need to go a day with no food to get you into a place where you're able to change the way you eat. So when I really, you hit that point, you go, okay, I've got to take care of this now. I'll just drink vegetable juice or fruit juice one day, or maybe I will just do water and a few other juices and things. But it seems to break so many things when I stop the normal process, take a pause, the fast, then it's not so difficult to restrict things and change things. Alice, what do you think about that?
I think it's why Jesus said that some strongholds cannot be broken without fasting and prayer. And it's not just a food fast, it's a digital detox. It's the fasting from the problematic thing that then we regain self-control when we separate from it.
Yeah, it's called a fast because the faster you do it, the better your life is going to get. All right. I'll tell you what, let's do. How about we go to, let's go to Mimi, Orlando, Florida. Listening on the internet. Hello, Mimi. How are you today?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome. How can we help?
Hi, I've been a listener for probably a year or so of you guys, and I've been to a counselor for this issue, but about my son. I am a follower of Jesus Christ. I just want to put that out there.
Okay.
So I do rely on prayer. But I have made a decision and I wanted to know, the question is, am I making a mistake by telling my son that I've got to block him? I cannot talk to him. He lives in another state away from me. But I told him that I've got to block him because of his abuse, his not physical but verbal abuse of me, and all of my family, my other boys. But until he makes changes in his life, I just have to get him. I hate to say that because it's the hardest thing for me to do, but like I've got to block him out of my life because it causes me to be depressed when he abuses me mentally and emotionally.
Well,
verbally.
you say that you're a believer, right? You said that.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you this: if let's say you were living with him, and you found out that he was providing food for you that had poison in it, do you think anybody, including Jesus, would say to you, look, don't hurt his feelings, you're his mother, you need to eat that poisonous food even if it kills you? Do you think anybody would give you that advice if they were in their right mind?
No.
I don't either.
No.
And when you pick up the phone knowing that he is going to poison your mind with his abuse, it's kind of the same thing. And I think it's absolutely in his best interest that he be blocked from you, because it says to him, there's a woman of value that you devalue, and you don't have the right to connect with her anymore. So you're waking him up to the reality versus enabling him to continue to be, how old is he?
He's 38.
He's a 38-year-old big baby, because it's a baby or an adolescent that gets upset with mommy because she doesn't give what she wants. Why do you think he's abusive to you? What's the source and what's the purpose of that in his life?
I think he blames me because his father and I divorced 21 years ago, and he blames me. That's what he says.
Yeah.
It's all my fault.
Okay, so
And he does the same thing to his brothers as well.
Yeah, it's their fault too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But look at this.
And they
If he was 16 and he blamed you for everything, you kind of understand that, because 16-year-olds don't have a fully developed brain and they don't get the big picture and all of that, and eventually one day they grow up and go, oh, that wasn't Mom's fault at all. I can't believe I was so hard on her. He's 38 years old, and he's not even at the level of a 16-year-old. All right, so that's me. I hate hearing about abusive sons to moms. So let's hear from you, Mark, and then Alice. What do you guys think?
Well, Mimi, I love that you want to have boundaries, because boundaries are good for you, and it's also healthy for him. It's not healthy for him to be able to speak to you in whatever way that he desires. That, you know, we get good at whatever we practice, and so if he's practicing doing that, he's going to get really good at that. So you holding those boundaries, I think, is protecting him. I think what I would do here is I would show him what the way back is. Right, I would tell him what you want first, right? I would say to him something along the lines of, like, I'd like for us to have respectful conversations that are mutually satisfiable, right? So it's not just for you, this is for him. And then I'd tell him, this is how I'd like our conversations to go, and I'd love to have conversations with you this way. And then I'd point out the observation, right? This is what I'm noticing happening in our communication. This is what I don't want, and this is what I'm not willing to put up with. You know, when you're willing to contact me and have conversations in this way, I welcome your conversation. This way, you know, you put the boundary up, but it's not like this hard stop and you don't know when, you know, things are going to be different. He knows how to come back.
Exactly, and we've done that, and I have said that before, and I've blocked him before, you know, and here's Mom, I guess. I unblock him, hoping that things are better, and then he will apologize, and then we talked about that. I'm not going to allow you to talk to me that way. You can't talk to me that way, and he'll apologize, and then we'll try to start off anew again, and then it falls back in the same.
So when you do this, and then he comes back and he apologizes to you, here's what I would do: is I would hold him accountable while he's got a spirit of contrition here, and I would say, what's going to be different this time? Because this has happened a few times. I want you to show me, tell me what's going to be different this time. And I also want you to give me permission that if you break that I can say these words to you, or ask him, what are words that I can say to you to redirect you, right? Let him have some skin in the game in holding himself accountable, so it's not just you holding him accountable.
And Mark, I would just add to that, she might say, what are you going to do for this to be different? Because it isn't going to be different until you make some changes and deal with the things that have led up to our problem. And blaming me, as you know, son, doesn't get anybody anywhere. It just keeps you stuck in bitterness, resentment, and anger. Alice, your thoughts?
Mimi, your son can't change on his own. I don't doubt his apologies have probably been sincere, and he probably really did want to treat you differently, but he hasn't gotten sufficient outside help to change.
Right.
So he needs recovery for there to be a character change. And so you know now not to trust his apology, but rather to insist that he's in some form of structured recovery work, like a New Life group or work with a New Life counselor, because that would give you different evidence this time of, okay, if he's in groups, if he's in counseling, then there's a reason to hope differently this time, because an apology is not enough. And so hopefully, Mimi, you'll model that as well. Maybe you already are, because you're a New Life listener, that you're in your own recovery, working through what happened throughout that divorce and the pain that you've been through too, so that he's influenced by what he sees you doing, which is more than an apology. It's the footwork to make the apology into repentance, which is behavior change.
All right, I'm going to send you a copy of Forgiving What You'll Never Forget to give to him, send to him, because he needs to forgive, accept, and be able to move on. But I'm going to tell you this, when you get serious about this, he will change in some way. And what I mean is, you tell him that I'm blocking you because I can't handle this. It's happened before. We always get back to this place. Then, if he does some things and you unblock him, here's what you must do. The first disrespectful indication, whatever, that it's going to go right back where it was, you must hang up on him. Don't talk about it. Don't say anything. Just hang up and block him again. Then he gets the message, oh, this is different. I don't get my mommy fix by apologizing. She lets me back in, and then I get to be angry at her again. I really believe you need to look at just hanging up the phone at the first syllable that's disrespectful. And I hope this is helpful to you, but he needs to read Forgiving What You'll Never Forget, because he's not forgetting that you are not all bad. You are not all of the reason for anything. He's really hurt himself. And I'm really glad that you called. Thank you for calling. Anything else either of you want to say before we move on?
That covers it.
Yep.
All right. Let's go to Sandra. How about that? Sandra is calling from Princeton, New Jersey, and listens on the internet. Hi there. How are you?
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm fine.
How could we help? What were you thinking when you said, I need to just call those people?
I need help with grief. My husband passed away. We was married for 50 years, and I'm having a very rough time of it.
Okay. How was the marriage when he was alive?
Good.
Okay.
We had our ups and downs, but it was good.
Okay. And since 2020, have you ever been involved with any kind of grief work or the process of grieving?
I had went online with Grief Share before,
Uh-huh.
but that was the only one.
And did you go through the program with them?
Yes.
And it just didn't work for you or help you?
It helped some, but I live by myself, so I'm here constantly, day in and day out. So my mind is just going back over everything that happened.
Yeah. So you did the grief work, but you're not keeping your mind busy with other things so that you could build up a little time without pain, struggle because of the grief. Alice, what are you thinking here?
Sandra, what part of the story does your mind continue to replay?
Well, my husband passed away at home. He was on hospice. And then I keep seeing that over and over.
And were you his primary caregiver for some time in his illness?
Yes.
For how long?
Well, he had a liver and a kidney transplant back in 2015. He was fine with that. But then the kidney started shutting down on him in 2018, and then they said he had colon cancer.
Oh.
So he did good with the colon cancer, but he had to go on dialysis because the kidneys were shutting down. So he went on dialysis, and then we thought he was doing good for that, but then when he went back to the doctor for the colon, the cancer has spread it to the lung.
Okay. We're going to go to a break. We'll help you right after this. But a lot of people, they're still feeling the pain of loss, even though maybe it was 10 years ago, but it feels like it was yesterday. And that does not have to be the case, and we'll talk about that right after this. You're listening to New Life Live, and you know, if you're struggling with anxiety, tomorrow we've got a very, very special guest who's going to join us, Sissy Goff, on the issue of anxiety.
Our marriage was just so toxic, and just so many simple interactions that turned into conflict. And so we signed up to participate in the workshop.
This is Steve Arterburn. Our Intimacy in Marriage workshop examines the various types of intimacy, spiritual, emotional, and physical, as well as the challenges of experiencing true intimacy.
The tools that we received from the Intimacy in Marriage workshop were tremendous. It was so much that we were able to take and utilize and actually come back and apply.
Don't settle for a miserable marriage or even one that's just okay. It's possible to have that great marriage you always want.
The next Intimacy in Marriage workshop is October 20th to the 23rd in Dallas, Texas. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more, or go to newlife.com. 1-800-639-5433.
Best decision we could have ever made. There's no price that we can put on having healthy marriages.
Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Well, we're back. All right. So, anything you guys want to say to help Sandra get from 2020
Well, Sandra,
to freedom?
When our brain is stuck and it's in replay, it means that part of our story needs more attention. It needs it both in prayer with God, but it also needs it in the comfort of human-to-human relationship, because that's how we keep moving through that grieving process. And you didn't just lose your husband and your best friend of those 50 years. I think you also lost your primary role, what you did with your days for years in caring for him. And so multiple pieces of your life were lost in addition to losing your husband. And so I'd of course invite you back into that recovery process, maybe this time with an individual counselor, so that you can get the story from your mind where it's replaying to your mouth where it's told, and then you receive comfort from your listener. And that can help you both honor your husband's memory and move through this stuck place.
Yeah, that's good, Alice. So Alice is saying here, if I'm going to repeat it in a different way, is that you're going through bereavement, which is the loss of your husband, but you're also going through grief, and the loss of other roles that you've lost in your life. Here's, what I would say here is that you're stuck in the depression piece, and of course, you're feeling lonely. You're at home alone, and then you have this association with your husband dying in the place where you have to live right now, and you're there alone, most of the time. Here's what I would say to you if I was your therapist. I would give you an experiment. I would say, try and change the association of the home that you have right now with a different experience here. Invite people over. See how you can maybe bring life to your home. Maybe have some kind of event or hold a Bible study there or something like that, so that you can start to, it will still be the home that your husband passed away in, but it won't just be the home that your husband passed away in, right? If you can create other associations with it. So that's what I would say.
And Sandra, you fulfilled your God-given purpose in loving your husband well all the way through his illness and to the end. And as you grieve that, there's another purpose that God still has for you. You're still alive, so there's still purpose. In addition to having loved him well, now there's something different. And so asking God, now what? What next? Which is really difficult to do. Sometimes it feels like we're not honoring our lost loved one if we adjust the course of our life after we've lost them. But God still is giving you breath for a very important divine purpose.
Yeah, and I just want to say you did Grief Share online because that's what they had to do during COVID. It's a very, very effective program. I would suggest you give it a try in person with a group of people locally that you could connect with. I think that could make all the difference in the world, and I'm really, really glad that you called us. I'll send you Healing is a Choice. It's got some great material on grieving the loss, accepting the reality I'm in, and forgiving whomever, including myself, that I need to forgive so that I can move on. And I'm really glad that you called. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you need some help, we've got people there waiting to talk to you. And also, if you give a gift of any amount, we will send you a copy of Loving Your Child in a Screen-Saturated World. Our gift to say thank you. It's a $16.99 book. And I think it can really help you if you've got screens and children right there in the same home. All right, now I mentioned Sissy Goff. She's going to be talking to us on Monday here. I hope you'll join us. How do we create security for our anxious kids? How do we turn some kind of worry into something that is stable and reliable? She'll help us understand how the anxiety of the parents impact the kids, and I hope you'll join us for that. But right now, we're going to go over here to Amy. Tampa, Florida is where she's calling from. Hi, Amy. How are you today? Amy's not there. So we will never know how Amy is doing today. But here's what we will discover. How about we go to Heather, Savannah, Tennessee, WDWX. Hi, Heather. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Well, what does that mean? Why did you call? What's going on? How can we help you?
I try to keep a positive posture.
Good for you.
I'm needing to get help. First, I want to praise you for recommending the coaching, and I have one session left, and I've gotten a lot of growth. However, there's been several things that have come external to me and one thing internal. I recently was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, and everyone is accustomed to me helping them. So despite what I'm needing, a lot of people, one of our neighbors committed suicide, and I moved from that area, but a neighbor called to tell me about it, and she was trying to blame the lady, the wife. The husband is the one that committed suicide. I have a sister who is blind, and she's very difficult, and I've been ministering to her, and she's improved. I have nieces and nephews who are always in bad condition emotionally. I just really need help, more help with setting the priority so I can take care of my health.
All right. Well, you hear the music. We'll take a break, and then we're going to come back and try to help you here. Really glad you called, and so sorry for what you're going through. It's amazing when people won't help the helper. We'll be back.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
I have given to New Life regularly because I have so many people that I am referring to New Life who so benefit from the ministry. I just can't imagine what would happen in my area if New Life wasn't available to us.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of all 8 100-day devotionals, including 100 Days of Prayer, 100 Days of Freedom from Depression, and 100 Days of Peace. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, discounts on workshops, and quarterly online meetings with Steve. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, and Terry was talking about Club New Life. You know why people run onto the field after a victory? Because they want to belong. Hey, we won. Let's all get together. I'm part of this win. Let's belong. Well, why don't you belong to something more than a victory? Mm-hmm. Thousands of victories. Club New Life supports so many people getting help. And when you join, we send you this whole library of these devotional books, the 100 Days of Freedom and 100 Days of Prayer, 100 Days of Character. It's just an amazing way. I mean, you could just go one after the other, and it would take you right on in to 2037. So call us, support us, join Club New Life, and we will be thrilled to send you this whole library of these devotionals, our way of saying thank you, and it helps in such big ways. So we're talking with Heather, multiple myeloma, and man, she's been the helper. It's hard for other people to see her need. So Heather, what is the question you have for us today?
How do I take my naturally empathic self to a place where I can put people on hold while I take care of myself?
That is a really good question. So, Mark, let's start with you.
Well, Heather, I'm so sorry for all the stuff that you're going through here, and I like your question because you've realized what you need to do. I find that people who end up in helper roles in adults, it's not so much that it's their natural self, like this is how they were born and who they were. They were shaped this way. In childhood, they had to be a helper. They had to be the person who took care of others. Is that true for you?
Yes.
What was happening? Who were you taking care of?
There was never love shown, so there was no demonstration or verbalization of love by the parents.
Mm-hmm. So were you taking care of your parents, or were you taking care of your siblings?
Myself. I was trying to cower. I was trying to cower in a classy way. I was cowering because I was missing love and acting like it didn't matter.
That's rough.
Yeah.
What should she do?
Yeah, so you're on the right track here. It's time to take yourself out of that helper role because you need to help yourself in this moment. You've got so much that's going on, right? One, I'm sure you may have heard this saying, one cannot pour from an empty cup, right? And so you've got all of these people who are wanting you to kind of pour out of the cup that you have to help them, but your cup is running dry. It's getting empty. And so it's probably time to take yourself out of that role with some of those other folks and to let them know, hey, listen, I'm going through some hardships myself here, and I think I need to take a step back and take some time to heal and recover. You're not going to be able to count on me in the way that you did before. And it's not because I don't love you. It's just because I need to fill my cup and heal my capacity. So I'm going to take a step back here. And so that's what I would start with those conversations to those folks. And then I would look out for you to see, are there some support groups that you can get into? What are some resources that are out there for you so that you can start to pour and have people pour into you?
Very good. Alice, a thought here?
Heather, it's very hard to break that stance of being the helper versus being the receiver. And usually there are guilt messages attached or there's lack of safety attached to being needy. So you were able to probably extinguish your needs as a child to a great extent because the adults weren't available to you. And so you may need to do some identification of what rules, what vows you've established in your mind subconsciously. Maybe it's bad to be needy. Maybe nobody can be trusted to be kind and caring to you. But the Bible gives us direction in this too, because it tells us that we're to bear one another's burdens. And that's when my burden is too great and I cannot bear it alone. It's actually part of the Christian walk for me to be needy and let other people come and help bear my burden with me. So it takes an adjustment of perspective that it's actually good to be needy because it calls other people up to love as you, Heather, have been loving these folks all along. It gives them a chance to give back to you.
All right.
Can
go
you
ahead.
repeat what you said about identify what views I have taken? Is that what you said?
Yes, because there's probably some messages inside of you that keep you from being needy. Like, nobody's going to help me. Nobody cares. Needy people are selfish people. Needy people are weak. And these negative messages might keep you from expressing your needs to people around you in a good and healthy way.
Okay,
What do you think of that?
It.
Yeah, all right.
I think it's fabulous.
Okay, well, I'm really glad that you were able to call. I'm going to send you a one-year Bible for women. I hope that that's going to be a blessing to you. Great commentary in there by my wife. And I hope and pray that you would reach out and find other people to be around during this very, very tough time. And do not, I hope that you're able to not feel guilt, shame, or remorse over needing the help that you provided to so many other people. And I pray that God will deliver to you some real, live, loving, and caring Christians who can bless you the way that you have blessed so many others. All right, 1-800-NEW-LIFE is the number if you need help. There are people there, they want to help you. But you have to call them. They don't know who you are until you called. All right, let's go to, how about we talk with Claire. And Claire, St. Louis, Missouri, also listening on Sirius XM. Hi, Claire. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. So glad to be able to talk to you.
Sure. What have you been dealing with?
My question is, as a mother-in-law and grandmother, how do I handle my concern for my 16-year-old granddaughter's physical, mental, and spiritual health?
Okay, what is her physical and mental and spiritual health like? What's going on, and what are her parents doing about it?
She's suffered from anxiety since a very little girl to a great degree. But she's very outgoing with theatrics and singing and dancing. That doesn't keep her from doing that. But it's been an extreme anxiety, and they have taken her to therapy and psychiatrists and tried different medications, and the medications just made it worse and made her suicidal. And so they are now trying some kind of a homeopathic, and I don't remember what it's called. They feel very comfortable with the doctor.
Okay.
It's somebody they know.
What's the question for us, though? What are you wanting us to talk about that might be helpful to you?
Okay, my concern is I see her declining. She's withdrawing from the family. Her health is such that she's so weak. She can't be out of bed for very long. And she's having twitches, and she doesn't want anybody in her family to see her. And she's 16 and just had a very, very traumatic upset with a relationship in her life. And my concern is that she's depressed and needs a chemical intervention.
So what's the question for us?
My question is, as the mother and grandmother, what do I do or not do?
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't know how extreme that your kids are, but what you don't want to do in the face of extreme behavior that is actually medically neglectful, you don't want to sit there and let her decline more. You have to be willing to be unpopular, even rejected, for the sake of her life if she really is declining. And so maybe when we come back, you could tell us what things were like a bit ago and then what they're like now. I mean, maybe that would be a good way to go. All right, I cannot hear anymore what's going on, but I assume the music is playing out, and we'll just listen to that until it goes away. You're listening to New Life Live.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit its addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for over 34 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family, or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and
it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step towards genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow. Call 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve here. We're talking with Claire, and I've given my 2 cents here. Mark, Alice, any further thoughts here for her about what to do with this daughter declining? I wonder what she was like 6 months ago versus now that would indicate that the decline is either severe, moderate, whatever.
Well, Claire, I can see your concern because this sounds like it's really, really extreme what's happening with your granddaughter. And it sounds like, I don't know if it's your son or your daughter. I know you're talking about being a mother-in-law. It sounds like they're trying a lot here. You've talked about them putting your daughter into, your granddaughter into therapy and having a psychiatrist. And I wonder, if what would help is for you just to go to her parents and just to give them some time just to kind of process, because it's probably very difficult for them too if they can't figure this out, and just to sit down with them and just ask them, how's this struggle been for you? Right? Not necessarily make it about the granddaughter, but how's this been for you? Let them just kind of process for a little bit and then just empathize and validate and say, what can I do to help? Once you do that and you listen to them, it kind of builds some credibility that if you do have some other ideas, you might be able to kind of lob them in and say, well, have you thought about this? And what do you think about that? In regards to counseling, I think sometimes people have to try 3, 4, 5 counselors before they find the right fit. But counseling does work. And it's probably just finding that right connection for your granddaughter here. Mm-hmm.
And it must be so difficult to know, Claire, how much do we push a 16-year-old who's so physically miserable she can't get out of bed? And so parents don't quite know, do I push her to this appointment or do I let her stay in bed because she's not feeling well? And so that's where the parents want to stay in contact with an expert. And I would get the best of the best with how severe these symptoms sound to be. We have to take suicidality incredibly seriously. And unfortunately, I've worked with families who thought, well, I think she's just exaggerating. I think she's just going to get over it. Maybe she's manipulating me because she said she's suicidal, but she doesn't really seem that bad. We must take it as a life or death issue. And I want to refer you to our friend, Dr. Daniel Amen, because he has a clinic, I believe in Missouri. He has clinics all over the United States. As far as I know, he's the best of the best for both psychiatric intervention, but also going the homeopathic route as far as possible. And he does brain scans, which really gets down into the nitty-gritty of what is happening inside your granddaughter's brain that is leaving her bedridden. And so get the best on this right away.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad that you called, and maybe we can find a copy of The End of Mental Illness by Dr. Amen and send it to you. He's a great friend of the ministry here, and it would give you some insight into her that maybe you can pass on to her parents. I hope that that's true. You're listening to New Life Live. I don't have a lot of time, but I'm going to go to Angie from Clearwater, Florida. Angie, I'm going to get to your call, but you're going to have to really help us understand the problem quickly so we can give you some good insight. Hi.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to find the path forward. My husband and I are not living together because he was violent last November. He used a hammer to smash sentimental items, pictures, and whatnot that he knew were important to me.
Okay.
So he has never been physical with me, but he has been under the care of a psychiatrist for the last 30 years. And when this thing happened, then he'll say afterwards, oh, well, I was out of my mind. So from that time, he has emailed our 3 grown daughters saying what a narcissist I am, and that he's He's diagnosed me with NPD.
Okay.
And then he filed for divorce. Anyway, at the last minute, the divorce was set to be final, and he had a big, change of heart. He really loves me still and wants to work it out. And you know what? I would like it to work out, too. We've been married for 44 years. I would like it to work out, but I feel like I don't want to go back to a pattern.
Okay.
There's a pattern of anger, and I need help. The intimacy in marriage is coming up in October, but I don't know if that's the right thing.
Well, I do not know any couple that it's not been the right thing for. If both people are willing. And what I would do, I would say to him, look, you're wanting this to continue. I understand that we have the best chance of it being a good experience if we'll go to this workshop, because we have people that love each other that they didn't before they went. So I just say, look, if we're going to get together, then things need to be different. Here's our best shot at making them different, a different that's better rather than worse. Alice, your thoughts?
And if he says yes, Angie, then ask, what will you do between now and then? And what I would hope for and expect, Angie, is regular weekly individual counseling sessions, 90 meetings in 90 days of a New Life Recovery group or another group that's focusing on his character. And I would look for the evidence that he's willing to invest in relationship from here to intimacy in marriage, because that gives a sense of, does he want to be a safer man who takes responsibility for his actions? Even if he is out of his mind, he's got to do something to change that.
Yeah, Angie, whenever there's domestic violence or threats in this way, I usually take a hard line with this. And it sounds like your husband's very ambivalent, but he's not really taken responsibility for his role. And that means that he remains dangerous, not just to you, but to himself, because he's, maybe he's not intentionally doing this, but he's not being able to stop himself. So he really needs to be able to get some help, targeted help, for learning how to control his outbursts, and then that needs to be demonstrated before you move back in with him. I definitely would caution that.
Well, we have a workshop we do online called Emotional Freedom, and that's another resource for him. Now, I have to tell you, I always wonder about when somebody's really angry. I wonder about pornography and lust and unfaithfulness and things like that.
That's been an issue in the past.
Well, there you are.
In the past.
Well, then Every Man's Battle is coming up first on September 9th. And so we want him to attend that, which will then, again, give you evidence. Is he wanting to be a safer man to be able to go to intimacy and marriage after?
And there's a difference here, Angie, of wanting to do something and being ready to do something. Yeah. And so he needs to be ready to do it, not just want to do it. And I would say the same thing for you.
Well, and the other thing is, if he's... Go ahead. Yeah, what?
Do you think I should take the position like, here's what I need for you to...
Absolutely.
Well, if you do that, if you do that, you'll either avoid getting back into something that's going to be unhealthy, or you'll set the foundation for things being great. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's exactly what I would hope you would do. And he's got to do something about that anger, and you guys have to do something about healing. And so I would have him, I'd let my criteria be that he's going to work on both. Really glad you called. I'm going to send you How We Love. It's what the workshop is based on, intimacy in marriage, and maybe you'll find some insight there, and hopefully we'll see you there. Well, if you need help, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you can help us keep that 800 number alive, 1-800-NEW-LIFE is the number to call, and we'll send you a copy of Understanding and Loving Your Child in a Screen-Saturated World. It is really, really a great, great book. Alice did such a good job on that book. Please come to Every Man's Battle, September the 9th, if you got a problem.
Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.